What an absolutely exciting time to be a Drury Hockey Panther fan. Unbelievable weekend this past weekend over at the Brightspeed Ice Park, Stan Melton Arena. I am Kevin Kline. Officially, I think you dubbed me the voice of the Panthers?
Absolutely.
Well, I always thought that was Steve Casson, who does the Midwest.
That's what he thinks.
Okay, I will lay claim to the arena voice of the Panthers. But yeah, I'm the public address announcer, and I am still on cloud nine after this past weekend. Coach Jeremy Law, Coach Cliff Cook. Dude, what an amazing weekend.
Yeah, it wasn't obviously a fun win on Friday and an even more fun win on Saturday, but didn't like that it came down to the wire and was that close. But yeah, it was definitely fun to keep the train rolling here.
It was a good show for the fans. I don't know how good of a show it was for the coaching staff.
Well, before we really jump into this past weekend against McKendree, we're actually broadcasting this and recording it on Monday evening at Holdfast Brewing. We normally do these on Sunday at noon, but you two gentlemen had a very interesting Sunday afternoon, didn't you?
Yeah, it was exciting. We were invited to go participate. We didn't really participate. We enjoyed the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame ceremony yesterday, Sunday, over at the fairgrounds there, and it was a pretty amazing experience. We were guests randomly of Johnny Damon. We were sitting at Johnny Damon's table with his wife and his in-laws while he was on stage. A good friend of ours is a friend of the family and invited us out, and it was pretty amazing. But I think even more for us than that, and was the chance to see our boss, Nyla Millison, get inducted into the Hall of Fame. And, you know, we knew a little bit about her coaching career. She was a basketball coach for years. Until they started playing that video and giving her accolades, I don't think either one of us really quite understood what a legend she really is.
Oh, legend,
Yeah, it was
to say the least.
super impressive to see.
Yeah.
And I told Trish, my wife, I said, it's interesting that Lawsy and Cookie are getting an invite this year. I said, because they keep this winning streak up for a couple of years in Drury. You guys are going to be there, and I hope I get the invitation to get you guys in the hall.
Slow down.
Unbelievable. So it was a neat ceremony. It was pretty cool.
It was
great. I think I think Jeremy will agree. It was a phenomenal ceremony. Food was great. Drinks were great. All the guests and some amazing stories. Guy brought in a horse. That was that was wild. Might have been a little long.
Okay. Well, with 19 inductees, it's not going to be short.
Might have been a long. The bass fishing coach at Drury University, Rick Emmett, he's a legend in his own right. Yeah. I ran into him today. He was actually there. We didn't see him, but he's a Missouri Sports Hall of Famer himself. So he was inducted a few years ago. And I said, Rick, that was long. Is it always that long? He goes, no. They had way too many people up there. It was way too long. It was an hour over what it was supposed to be, but it was still really fun.
I think they gave everyone like 3 minutes for their speech, and I think every single person went over their allotted time. So.
Including Nyla, because at one point the music started. It was like the Emmys or the Oscars, and they start playing the music to shut you up, and she literally said, I'm ignoring the music, and kept going.
Hey, it's her moment in the sunshine.
Yeah.
Absolutely good for her. Well, I'm glad you guys got to experience that and
fun.
sit with Johnny Damon, a multiple-time World Series winner. He was inducted as a member of the Kansas City Royals, but also played for the Yankees and the Boston Red Sox. Now, let's turn our attention to what we really love to talk about, Drury Panther hockey. We've already touched on what a great weekend this was. McKendree came into town. You guys had beaten McKendree 5-2 and 7-1 at their home ice. Yeah. This weekend started out with a 5-2 win on Friday, and I facetiously told Coach Cookie, I said, do we even need to play Saturday's game? It's going to be 7-1, isn't it? But it turned out to be a little bit different than that.
Yeah, it did. And full credit not only to their team. They work hard. We knew that going in. And I've said this to anybody that will listen. I was on our good friend Chris Perry's podcast for the WCHL. I've said this to anybody that will listen. McKendree's going to be a threat in the next few years. Like, they're building. They have a new coach who's doing a great job. They've got unbelievable top two goaltending. Mm-hmm. I think there might be losing one, but both of them played this weekend, and they are fantastic.
Well, one of them, the one who played on Friday evening, number 30, Chad Purdy, grew up in Willard.
Yep. He's
just down the road.
Yep.
And you said before the game, Purdy always plays us tough.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. They're the type of team that goaltending could keep them in it right till the end, and those are the scary games because they build off that momentum, and they just keep playing with that momentum, and it's tough to score.
If they didn't have goaltending on Friday and Saturday evening, it would have been a lot different on the scoreboard because it was 5-2 on Friday evening. Saturday we win 5-4 with 7 seconds left on the clock when Luke Aston scores his team leading 17th in the game winner. We're going to talk about that, but I had the opportunity to talk to Purdy in the hallway before they went out and warmed up before Saturday's game, and he wasn't playing. Dallaire played that one, and I asked him, I said, were you black and blue after period number 2 when you faced 28 shots?
Yeah.
He goes, no. He goes, I'm not black and blue. He says, but after that, I was so winded. He says, you don't realize the cardiovascular endurance a goaltender has to have when that's happening.
Yeah. I remember one time in juniors, I tried to play goalie in practice, and it is very, very, you need good conditioning for sure.
Yeah, well, that's what he said. He said, we're carrying an extra 20 to 25 pounds on our body as opposed to the players who play offense and defense. But he said, and I said, so given the alternative, you face 5 shots a period, what would you rather do? He goes, shoot me 60 times a period. He goes, because with that 5 shots per period, you have an opportunity to stand there and get cold. He says, I don't know if you know this, but we sweat under these. That could be miserable.
Well, we talked about it last time we had a show because of the Northern Illinois weekend, and goalies having to stand around when they're not getting a lot of shots, and that's way harder than what Chad went through and even Joe went through this weekend. The goalies want to face shots because if they have to just stand there, I mean, the second period of that Northern Illinois game, I think it was Saturday, there was a 10-12 minute stretch where Brett Sweet didn't see a single puck, and that's hard for a goalie because not only are you getting cold, you're not getting action. Admittedly, you're probably getting a little bit bored and annoyed because you're not getting action, and then next thing you know, you're having to have those quick reflexes again, and that's really hard to do when you've been standing.
I imagine, we'll have to ask a goaltender, but I imagine there's a sweet spot for the amount of shots they face each period, maybe like 15 a period or something like that, but you don't want too many, and you certainly don't want none at all.
I don't know what the actual number was on Friday. Cookie, you might know this, but I think we outshot them by 20 shots on Friday and 30 shots on Saturday.
Yeah, it was a total. I think the total number was roughly 120 shots between the 2 games. So each game was around 60 shots.
Okay, so you're shooting 60 shots and 5 go in and 5 go in. Is that frustrating that,
yes,
1/12 of your shots only go in?
Yeah, short answer is yes.
Okay, so what's the mentality in between periods when you're shooting 28 shots a period and it's like, God, they're stopping everything?
You just got to keep going. I mean, we hit 4 or 5 crossbars this weekend, and it's like that's not coaching. You just got to keep going, and the luck will change eventually. But you run into hot goalies, and that'll happen. There'll be times you can put 60 and score 12, or put up 60 and score 4. Mm-hmm. So it really varies, but the fact that we're getting those opportunities and we're getting that many good shots is that's a positive. So
I think that's the way you would have to look at it, right? Is that we're just going to keep firing away and something's going to break.
Yeah, because we didn't have that in our previous job. One of the things that kind of annoyed us in our previous job is we didn't shoot enough. We got literally, I think for 2 seasons, got outshot every single game, even though we were successful in winning games. We got outshot every single game. I think we've only been outshot 1 time this year. It wasn't the game we lost, ironically, but I think there's only been 1 game this year where we've been outshot. But that was only by like a goal, by 1.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, we overall, we've dominated the shot totals, which is why we've been one of the main reasons we've been successful.
1 game in Davenport, we got outshot by 1.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like 36-35, but it was a great game.
Talk about great games. Both games this past weekend were exciting. They were great. I want to talk to you specifically about the second period on Friday. There was 1 goal scored. It was ours. It was by the captain, number 19, Jacob Holly, to take a 2-1 lead into the locker room. Mm-hmm. What were you guys expecting in the third period?
A lot more than we had given up until that point. But again, our success has kind of created a bit of a dichotomy because we weren't playing bad, but we were also, as we've been saying, facing a hot goaltender. Chad was playing phenomenal, and we just had to find ways to beat him. Like he was kind of beating us at the time, even though we were leading the game. We had to kind of figure out ways to beat him, and we eventually did. Same thing when we played him there. Like he was in net. I think it was the Saturday game when we played up at McKendree. it was a 1-goal game or so going into the third period there as well, and the taps opened up at that point. They didn't open up quite as much this time, but enough. So it worked out. But at some point, there are times, and you know this from your playing days, times you just got to tip your hat to the guy at the other end of the
For
rink.
sure.
I mean, it's...
For sure.
Yeah.
And we've done that here.
Yeah.
I did have an opportunity to talk to Holly after the game, and the gates did open up, by the way, to the tune of 3 goals in the third period. But I asked Jake, I said, what was the team mindset coming out for the third period, up 2-1? And he said, we knew we had it because nobody's going to score on this defense.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a thing for a forward to say.
Yeah. No, our goals against, our defense this year has been great. I think we're top 3 in the country for goals against. So
yeah, I think our goal differential at this point is around 99. I think it's a plus
that's
99.
unheard of.
It's great. Well, the craziest part is I think we're 4th or 5th on the country at plus 99. So there's some other teams, as we know, doing really well.
Of course.
Also, so.
Yeah.
All right, so we win that one 5-2 on Friday evening. That runs our win streak to how many games?
At that point, it was 22.
22. So we come back on Saturday evening, and it's the most nervous I've ever been at a sporting event. Playing, watching, pros, high school, anything. It's the most nervous I've ever been.
yeah.
I would probably use a different word. I think we were both pretty frustrated. Obviously, they were getting great goaltending, but we weren't playing to the level our guys know they're capable of playing at.
But you say that, and we outshot them 60-30.
Yeah, we were getting the high quality shots we're used to getting.
Yeah, McKendry did a really good job of clogging the middle of the ice, and we didn't. We had a lot of perimeter shots, but they, like I said, they built off their momentum, and then when they felt like, hey, they were in this game and they could actually win this game, that's when it was tougher for us. Because they were playing lights out. They were playing really well.
Yeah, like any sport, you give a team like that confidence and they let them hang around. Mm-hmm. Their confidence is going to build and build. And we saw that with all the chirping they were doing and all that kind of stuff. And we had to kind of reset things and say, guys, get back to what we're good at. And as we got, by the way, I was going to bring this up as we've got motorcycles driving by right now that I'm sure you can hear on the broadcast. I think I know why all these Canadians wanted to come to Springfield, Missouri. It's February 3rd, and it was 75 degrees and sunny today, and the doors are open here at the brewery. It's been an amazing day.
I'm sure Sadownyk was on the links today shooting lights out or something.
Yeah, but going back to the game, it's, again, credit to the goaltending, but, we weren't ourselves early on, and we've run into this before. Like, we know we're the better team, and we – as much as our guys still worked hard, that wasn't a question, right. But there were things we were doing that wasn't, a little selfish hockey, hold on to the puck too long, things like that. That's not our game.
It's interesting that you say that because I had a friend come to Friday night's game, and I said, what you're going to see with this team is it's almost like European soccer. It's one-touch passing.
Yeah.
I didn't see a lot of that.
No, that's a strength of ours.
It is.
I know Jeremy would agree. That's definitely a strength of ours.
Yeah, no, I think, like Cookie said, just subconsciously knowing you're playing a weaker team, I think these guys get in their heads that they can do more and hold on to the puck longer. And you do play a different style versus playing against better teams. So, it definitely kind of bit us in the butt there.
It's human nature, honestly. I mean, any sport, I don't care where we are. Whether you admit to it or not, or realize consciously you're doing it or not, your game does drop a little bit because you realize you can get away with more than you're not used to. And we give the guys a hard time, but I don't fault them because we've been there. We know it. It's human nature.
So we haven't even really talked about the nail-biting aspect of this Saturday game. It is 4-2 with about 90 seconds left in the game. We're trailing
4-3.
4-3 with 90 seconds left.
Yeah, it was about minute 40-ish. Minute
43, I think.
Yeah, and you guys decided to pull Kuchazlo, our goaltender.
Yep.
What goes into a decision like that?
I think it's just like timing and momentum. You got to take a chance, and that's one thing. Like both games we've been down this year, our bench management, like it's been right on point for when to pull the goalie, the situation with getting the power play, and so that just worked to our favor. And the timing is right, and these guys have the confidence that, hey, we've done this before. We know we're. It's almost like we know we're going to win. Let's go do it now.
We had kind of set up for that on Saturday night as well. They had called the timeout. I don't remember how much time. It was like 4 or 5 minutes left. Joe came to the bench and was asking, hey, when should I be looking over? And we kind of gave him a heads up, around 2 minute mark. And then they took the first penalty, and then they took the second penalty, and the decision became much easier at that point.
Yeah, to give yourselves a 6-on-3.
I mean, we were going to do it either way, but that decision became very easy at that point.
Yeah, and I was talking to our athletic trainer, Sarah, after the game, and I said, what a game. And she goes, hey, man, if you can't score 6-on-3, you shouldn't be playing hockey.
Sarah's the best.
Yeah.
Sarah's amazing. I love Sarah.
Yeah.
So with 7 seconds remaining on the clock, tied at 4-4, our team leader in goals, number 18, Luke Aston, who will be on the program here shortly, scores the game winner.
Great tip, yeah. Nice play from that whole unit there. Jackson pulling the puck off the wall and getting to the net right away, and Luke was where he needed to be.
And I think he'll agree with this too, but he missed an earlier chance, so it was a little bit of a redemption there.
Spoken like a true coach. I want to talk to you about the penalties that McKendree took that late in the game. All right. First of all, after the game, their captain was really on Marzola about that second penalty. He was like, at that point, ref, you got to let us play. You got to let us play.
There was some social media comments on it as well.
Was it a penalty?
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at it again, now, the penalty I would have called had I been officiating and unbiased and all that wasn't the roughing that they called, because if you watch the video, you see their defenseman literally wrap his arms around Jared Gale, and basically put him in a bear hug. And the rough came when Jared's trying to get out of that, and the guy basically gives him a forearm to the face as he's walking out of it. But it was clearly a hold in front of the net. Now, the reason, and credit to the refs on this, the reason they didn't call the hold, play wasn't going, like the puck wasn't anywhere near it at that point. You're not going to call that hold because it's not really affecting the play. But by the time he threw the punch, you have to call something. There's just, I don't care if they're already down a man. I don't care what the clock says. And I don't care what social media commenters sitting at home say. It's a penalty. It's just not a smart play at that point.
And I went back and watched the high stick on Joe Davidson too. Because at first I didn't really think it was much, but when I watched the video, the guy clipped him under the chin pretty good.
Oh, that was right in front of us, I think. Yeah, I saw that one.
Your angle would have been good. From the bench, I couldn't really see that.
Oh, it was an amazing angle we had.
Yeah.
And again, we said it last week when the penalty against, up at Purdue Northwest when the kid got a penalty on Sadownyk. That wasn't a penalty. And we came back and won because of it. We'll fully admit if it's not a penalty, because that should not have been called to get, the kid taking out Sadownyk. I thought it was a decent play, but these were penalties.
Well, speaking of penalties, and Cookie, I mentioned this earlier that I was going to bring this up to you because the 4 games I did for you last season and in the entire season, where I sit is in between the penalty boxes,
right.
Okay? And O'Rourke takes a 2-minute minor for cross-checking, and their player, Yu-Chan, takes a 5-minute major for boarding.
Right.
You would think that emotions are pretty high at that point. Both players come into the penalty box. We have the doors open, and Rourke, he says to the guy, he goes, man, you hit me pretty hard. Yu-Chan says, yeah, you hit me pretty hard too. To which Aaron Jones, who's the official clock operator, turns to O'Rourke and says, you're lucky you didn't get a game misconduct. O'Rourke looks up and goes, I'm surprised I didn't.
No, I don't think he earned that.
Do they know when they're making? Are they trying to get away with something?
Whether they admit it or not, they know.
They know, yeah.
Yeah, they know. We all know. We did it.
Yeah.
You know.
O'Rourke had a
You'll
great
never admit it publicly.
No, well, yeah. I mean, we were the only ones privy to that conversation.
And by the way, I'll say this, and this clip will probably be included when I post this on Wednesday or Thursday, but the 2 guys that got the penalties late in the game didn't seem too bothered by it. If you look at if you go back and watch the feed, because Steve got his little
They're waving at the camera.
They're waving at the camera, smiling, having a good old time. They didn't seem too bothered by the fact they got penalties there. So, again, if you're that upset about taking penalties at that part of the game, you'd think they'd be a lot more visible. No, they were having a great old time in there.
Yeah.
Well, and those were backbreakers for their team, obviously, taking penalties late.
So. For sure.
But even still, like, their goaltender nearly robbed the game or saved the game for them. I shouldn't say rob it, because as we told them after, as far as we're concerned, we stole that game. I mean, we had scoring with 7 seconds left is just insane. But he made a save in the last minute or so that was just unbelievable.
I think I inadvertently hit the score, hit the goal button.
Well, the crowd cheered. The goal song started. Steve on the broadcast announced it as a goal.
Yeah.
I mean,
there was only one person who said it wasn't a goal.
It was Luke Aston, who's sitting right over there. He's about to meet you. He had his hands on his head.
Yeah, well, Aaron, the official clock operator goes, "Don't play that. The referee hasn't signaled anything." So I learned a lot that
Yeah.
So speaking of learning, what did we learn about our team this weekend?
Heart.
Just heart and resilience, and we never give up. So I love that about our guys, and it's fun. It was a fun win despite not playing well. Just super proud of the guys to battle back.
Well, we are going to meet two of those guys, two of the key cogs in the two tight wins this past weekend. Assistant captain number 18, Luke Aston, and one of our top, if not the top defenseman in the league, number 22, Lucas Sadownyk. Coming up next on segment 2 of the Drury Panthers Coaches Show, we are broadcasting Hold Fast Brewing right here in downtown Springfield. At Hold Fast Brewing for segment number 2 in the Coaches Show. Second to last Coaches Show of the year, if I'm not mistaken, because we only have one more homestand before we hit the road to Nationals in St. Louis. We talked about the great wins this past weekend at the Stan Melton Arena Brightspeed Ice Park. A 5-2 win on Friday, a 5-4 win on Saturday, with the final goal, the game winner, being scored in 7 seconds left on the clock in regulation. And two of the key players that played a role in both of those wins this past weekend join us now. Number 18, Luke Aston, your team leader in goals scored, and number 22, Lucas Sadownyk, goal and an assist on Saturday. I think you kind of had something similar on Friday, if I'm not mistaken, too. Yeah, I know you had a big assist on Friday evening because it was,
Yeah, just one assist Friday.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but it was a big one. It was a big goal. So you and I, Luke, had the opportunity to talk after the game. You were the Andy's Frozen Custard Player of the Game, and I said 17 goals in the season, team leader, but none probably more important than the one you just scored. Talk us through that 7 seconds to go goal.
Yeah, I mean, definitely it was nothing special, like on my part. I was just kind of standing net front. Not a lot of time left. The puck's going to be going to the net. And I just kind of got a lucky tip. JT Truchon threw a great puck on net. I don't think the goalie was really expecting it. So I just kind of got a stick on it and a skate, and luckily went in.
So when we're playing 6-on-3, as we were, you expect to score, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. Probably.
So how fulfilling was that this weekend for you guys as players?
I mean, it was great. Like, we know for the rankings that was huge for us. Just to not lose that or even get it as a tie, the regulation win was nice. But to know we could be resilient and come back from a deficit like that and fight through the third was huge.
Well, Lucas, didn't you guys realize that in your second game against Purdue Northwest when you came back from a 4-1 deficit in the third period?
Yeah, definitely. It was a similar feeling. I think the room wasn't too low, wasn't too high. We were pretty dialed in for the most part, and we kind of had some confidence over us that, like, hey, we've done it before, and we're confident we'll do it again. So we didn't think it was. I mean, it's obviously a challenge ahead, but it wasn't nothing too daring.
So, Luke, I asked you, 60 shots on goal. We only score 5. How frustrating is that for the players?
Yeah, it definitely gets frustrating. I mean, I think the coaches mentioned it before, but that goalie saved with a couple minutes on me is unbelievable stop, and you're just like, what do we have to do to get a puck in the net here? So it's definitely frustrating, but you've got to also know just to keep shooting. Eventually they're going to go in. They might not be nice goals, they might not be the highlight reels, but eventually they're going to go in.
So I have a really cool source for Drury D1 hockey, and I asked my source to describe both of you. And my source came back and said, class guys, great character, awesome leaders on and off the ice. I know you're wearing the A on your sweater now. How did that feel, getting named assistant captain?
Yeah, honestly, it feels really good. Honor, but it could be a lot of guys on the team. Even I think Lucas was probably part of the
Well, my source said that he should be wearing a letter.
Yeah, I think so too. But it's a brand new team, and a lot of freshmen on the team. So I think kind of getting the A, it definitely felt really good.
So I know what leadership on the ice is. You lead by example. Going in the corner, digging out a puck, hitting a guy. What is leading by? What is character off the ice, Lucas?
I think it's a lot of different things. You don't have to be the loudest guy in the room. You don't have to give a big speech every time. But I think it's just your attitude, coming to the rink every day and being ready to work before practice starts, after it ends, and kind of just keeping the emotions high, I guess, for the most part, and staying happy, and don't let anyone get too down on themselves or kind of dwell or complain, but just kind of carry yourself in a good way.
Who is the loudest guy in the room? It's Cookie, I know, but I mean, I'm player-wise, who's the loudest guy in the room? Because you guys all are pretty quiet and reticent.
Yeah, I'd probably say that, but it kind of depends on the situation. I think it changes a lot from like games to practices. I think practices, everyone's usually talking an equal amount, and then for games, Jacob Hawley, our captain, of course, he's talking a lot during the intermissions, going around the room, checking in on guys, making sure everyone's kind of focused and stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah. I'd say, Jake Hawley for sure, and then I'd give KT some credit. He's pretty loud, especially in intermissions, with just good little one-line things. He's a guy a lot of us respect the way he plays, and he's a good player, obviously. So when he speaks up, you want to listen.
So as players, how do you not panic? You got a winning streak on the line. You're down 4-3 with 2.5 minutes left. How do you not panic?
I'd say confidence for the most part.
Yeah.
You can't. Anytime you face adversity, you can't panic. You have to know that comes at all times in life, and little adversity never hurt us. So you got to learn to fight through them, and I think it was just kind of staying calm, sticking to our game, knowing we were playing, pretty well for the most part, but we were for sure controlling play, and don't stray away from anything, don't try anything too crazy. We knew it would come eventually, and luckily it did.
Luke, you come from championship pedigree. I believe your KIJHL team won 2 back-to-back titles.
Yeah, we definitely did.
I know you're looking at Lucas.
Times, actually.
Yeah, I know. But I have a question for both of you regarding this. Okay, championship pedigree. How does this team stack up to your 2-time champion in the KIJHL?
Oh, that's a tough question. It's very different. It's very difficult to say. That league's a lot different than here, and also like the format of the playoffs is a lot different. You're going to play 4 games or 4 series, best out of 7. And here it's 1 game elimination. So a lot can change. You could.
How is
catch
that league
team.
different than this league? Not in just terms of talent and.
I think that the top end talent is probably pretty similar.
Okay.
I find with this league though, there's a bit more of a drop off just because there are so many teams in this league. And in that league up there, though, I think there's 20 teams only, so it's a bit more consistent throughout. And then when you get here, there's 70-something teams.
Yeah.
So a lot of those bottom-ranked teams kind of have a big drop-off.
Well, Lucas, I know when I talked about the back-to-back championships that Luke looked right over at you because Princeton was the team you played for, the Posse, and you came in second place both of those years.
We came in second, was it 2 years ago, and we beat them in playoffs to get there to the finals, and then we met again last year, and then they took it in that semifinal series.
Here's a beautiful thing, though, because my source said, I think Sadownyk has a bittersweet chip on his shoulder that he brings into play with him, and I think that's really going to help us in our road to nationals. So do you have a chip on your shoulder because of that?
I guess I'd say so, especially knowing Luke and Joe and Joe Chaslow were on those winning teams, and a couple other guys were pretty much the whole team for the most part was from that league, and we all are pretty familiar. So I think just knowing, I know they know how to win. I feel like we were so close to winning when we were in Princeton, and I think about it all the time. It sucked. It's one of the worst feelings ever, losing there.
Isn't it?
So, I think coming in with just some confidence and knowing that if we stick to our plan, there's no reason we can't accomplish whatever we want.
So you guys are both from St. Albert. Did you guys know each other growing up?
Yeah, we played together growing up since we were 4 or 5. Our brothers played together.
Oh, cool. All right.
Yeah.
So so you brought that familiarity of each other here, but I talked to Lawsy before the show today, and he said that you guys were 2 of the earliest recruits and commitments. What was it about Drury?
J-Law did a great job of recruiting it and kind of selling this place up, of course. So, that was a big factor. And then, I think talking with Lucas, obviously we were in the same league. We were really good buddies, talking to each other back and forth. And I think we kind of agreed if we can get a good group of guys there, it's a great school. You know, they have a great setup and everything, the rink and the fans and everything. If we can get a couple more guys, we can really have a really good team there.
Well,
So I think
Lossie
that's
said
the biggest
because you
thing.
guys committed early, helped with his recruiting process. So who else did you drag with you?
Mr. Emil Garcha brought him along.
Garch.
Yeah. He was, I mean, they said he was a big one. We all know he's a big one as you see him play on the ice. And said, like, I mean, come on, man, why not? There's nothing else you'd rather do.
Yeah.
Come hang out, live together, and just have a blast. And I think we've done that so far.
I think you guys had a blast a couple weekends ago when you went out to Arrowhead and saw that playoff game, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. That
pretty
was
neat.
awesome.
But I saw pictures of you on your Instagram, Lucas, that you were at a Seahawks stadium.
Yeah, last year we actually had an off weekend in junior, and we were only 5 hours away of a drive, so we packed up, caught an Oilers and Kraken game on the Saturday,
Yeah.
caught the Seahawks on the Sunday, and drove home. It was pretty sweet.
Very cool. Number 18, Luke Aston, 17 goals on the season, leads the team. Number 22, Lucas Sadownyk, defenseman. He's got 6 goals. You're actually tied with Francis for leading defenseman in goals with 6. Your KIJHL coach said you were the best defenseman in the league. What makes you better?
I don't know. I mean, he gave me some high praise. I got to give him credit to give me the opportunity to even be here. He helped me a lot on my path through junior to get here. But I don't know. I think a lot of it was a mindset thing and having he called it an FU attitude.
Okay.
Just to be, like, don't look down on yourself and look up. Like, you look up to other guys, obviously, but don't look at them as better and think, why not, try and be as good as them or better than them and know you can play along the best each and every night and bring your A game.
You were talking about growing up in Canada. It's 74 degrees here today. Did you get out on the golf course?
I wish.
You wish?
I wish, yeah.
Are you, like, you're a 70s shooter, right?
Yeah.
Can you go pro?
No.
No?
No, that's a lot. There's a big gap, huge gap still from the pros to where we're at now. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
I've never met a hockey player that can't play golf. Honestly, it's the
right
hand-eye
here.
coordination right there.
Yeah.
no, he's not bad. He's got a good swing on him. We went in the summer a couple times. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm sure he's got a great swing on it because, like I said, I've never seen a bad a golfer that's a hockey player. Guys, I tell this to the coaches all the time. I love announcing you guys. I just love being a part of this team, this organization, and thank you for just being so cool to me and always saying hi to me in the hallways and stuff, and for putting a great product on the ice. I love watching you guys play.
Of course, thank you. And, we really appreciate everything you do here, doing this, getting the word out and getting people to the games and just, like, the energy you bring there, too. It's unbelievable.
Well, we get to do it again on February 14th and 15th. Luke Aston, Lucas Sadownyk, guys, thank you so much and continued success.
Thank you.
Back for the final segment, third and final segment of the Drury Panthers D1 Hockey Coaches Show here at Holdfast Brewing. Head coach Jeremy Law, assistant coach Cliff Cook. I'm your in-studio, in-arena voice of the Panthers, Kevin Kline.
The voice.
Yeah, well, I'll take it.
Well, you're the voice of the Panthers. Apparently, he's the head coach of the LA Kings.
I wish.
Yeah, what is that about?
Just a fan.
Yeah?
Didn't have time to go home and change, to be honest.
How long you been a fan? From the Gretzky days?
Since Gretzky got traded from Edmonton.
Okay.
So yeah, huge Kings fan. So
Yeah? Do you know anybody that plays there?
no, but I mean, Luke Robitaille, the president, he was my favorite player growing up. And,
that's awesome.
Yeah, so yeah, I just liked all their team and just a team I cheer for.
Yeah.
So
Well, I got to ask you this because you just talked about Robitaille being your player. Who
Yep.
was your player growing up, Cliff?
Oh, geez. So I was always, even though it was before my time, I was a big Gordie Howe fan like most hockey people, but my favorite player growing up was Dave Poulin. Not maybe a household name, but he's captain of the Flyers for a while, and that day, I had a bit of a connection there. Youth hockey camp years ago. His younger brother was there with my brother at the time, and yeah. So Dave Poulin was a guy, and that's why I always say I don't have a team. Jeremy's obviously a Kings fan. I don't have a team. I like players, and so yeah, Dave Poulin was my guy growing up, and randomly there's a lot of guys on that Flyers team, and I'm clearly not a Flyers fan. Sorry Kim, if she's watching this. But there was a lot of guys on that team that I like, Tim Kerr and guys like that. So, yeah.
Was speaking of the Flyers, I was talking to Aaron about this. Was Ron Hextall the guy who ushered in the big goalie? Because now you can't play goalie if you're 6'7", if you're shorter than 6'7".
I think it was more Patrick Waugh, I would say. Ken Dryden was a big guy.
Was Waugh that big?
Yeah, Dryden was big, I think.
Ken Dryden was a big guy.
I definitely think Ron brought the toughness. You know what I mean? Like, he was definitely the toughest goalie back then. So.
Yeah, because I mean, both of their goalies were rather large this past weekend with McKendry, and I was wondering about the goalie pads. They can only be so wide, right?
Yes.
Okay, but they can be as tall as they want, right? Or is that regulated too?
I think they can be as tall as you want. Yeah, I don't see any of a bunch of our guys just showed up as we've been recording this. I don't see any of our goalies though, so I can't ask him that.
All right, well, let's go back to these McKendry games before we talk about the upcoming final home game weekend stand, February 14th and 15th. Cookie, after the game on Saturday, you said, I've got a headache. How tense is a game like that for the coaches?
That was stressful. Yeah, it was definitely. And I think a lot of the stress and tension had to do with the fact that we should have never been there. It should have never. I mean, you look at it two ways. One, it's from a coaching standpoint, team standpoint, we didn't play our best. It was frustrating. From a PR standpoint, it was phenomenal.
Absolutely.
The crowd was amazing. That, and again, another video that'll be included in this, those kids taking off their shirts and waving them, and, all the fans banging on the glass. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better PR moment for sure. But from a hockey standpoint, we were like, yeah, it should have never come to that.
So, Wazzy, when you're behind the bench in a game like that, how much more thinking are you doing as coaches? I mean, because there's times, I'm sure, that you guys are just sitting back there going, what can we do? What can we do? Because your guys are so good. Yeah. But in a game like that, you had to think, well, we need to pull a goalie at this time. How much thinking goes on?
Yeah, there's definitely a little bit more. You just keep going, and then just find the right time, like we talked about earlier, bench management, and just trying to give yourself an opportunity to get the tying goal, and then cards fell right for us with the power play. So scoring on the 6-on-3 with I don't know how many seconds left. Cookie might know.
7.
Well, no, to allow us to still have another power play.
Yeah. It was less than a minute, I think.
Yeah, 40 something seconds, I think.
Giving us a chance to win it with the power play at the end there, that was huge.
Well, and there was so much. Again, we've been harping on this moment because it was a great moment. There was so much that went into that. Like, with about, it was about 30 seconds or so left, Luke Aston peels around our own net because they had iced the puck. Luke picks up the puck and is absolutely blazing. Like, that's as fast as he is, that's the fastest I've seen him skate. And I think he overdid it because he get inside the blue line and he lost an edge. Lost the puck, lost an edge, took their defenseman out. And I heard someone complaining about that too. He was like, what are you going to call there? Like, give me a break. But he lost an edge. But as it turned out, it worked out well because he got the puck in deep and we were able to get control again and make a play. And there's so many, it's all those little things that add up in the end. And the fact that he just completely wipes out, unlike him completely, and yet it works out because it set the whole play up in the end.
Well, we have an upcoming weekend, February 14th and 15th. It's the final 2 home games of the season for Drury D1. The atmosphere on Saturday evening this past weekend was like playoff hockey. This is going to be like playoff hockey because Midland's coming to town, and they're right now on the outside looking in, aren't they?
Yeah, I think they're holding on to probably the last spot because of the auto bids. So when they come to play us, they'll be fighting for their playoff lives, and that'll be good for us because we want the toughest competition we can leading into nationals, and we want to be playing playoff hockey as well.
Yeah, my source told me that the guys are already thinking that the playoffs start February 14th and 15th.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you this, because we've got a weekend off. Is that detrimental or is that good?
Oh, it's okay. We'll practice really hard this week, and a few days off is fine. And definitely get get guys that might have bumps and bruises, get them healthy, and then prepare next week for a game plan for Midland, and then we'll have another weekend off before hopefully an exhibition game and to get ready for nationals. So we're kind of playing out how we want as coaches.
Good. Yeah. All right. So Midland right now is 21st in the country. Top 24 make it to
Top
nationals?
24, and as we speak today, obviously, as we're recording this on Monday, New rankings will come out Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central. As it sits right now, they do hold the last spot. There's 3 teams that are going to get auto bids to take out 24, 23, and 22. So Midland's sitting in that last spot. There are some, predictors out there that think you might need to get to 20 or 19 to be safe. I'm not convinced of that. I think the 3 auto bids is probably where it's going to stay. At most 4, but I think 3. I mean, there's some that are already done, frankly. But again, those were teams that were going to be in anyways.
Right.
I mean, UNLV clinched the WCHL. They weren't going anywhere. They're number 3 or whatever in the country. So it's those teams below 24 that can win their conference. Primarily, it happens out east.
Yeah.
The competition out east, and again, I don't mean any offense by this, it's not as strong as the Midwest teams. It's not as strong as WCHL. So a lot of those teams are relying on that auto bid to get in.
Midland has an unenviable task, though, because we've already beaten them 4-2 and 4-2 on their ice.
Yeah.
They're fighting for a possible playoff bid. They're coming here.
Yeah.
Playing the winningest team in
and to add to that, their unenviable task, I'm fairly, and correct me if I'm wrong, fairly certain their conference has a conference tournament at the end. I could be wrong.
No, they do. They do.
The problem is their conference includes Minot State, Jamestown, UMary. So if they're they've got to get on rankings because the chances of them getting in on an auto bid are not very high. As quality a team as they are, I mean, you're going to have to run a gauntlet in their conference tournament to win it.
Minot's 1 right now, number 1.
But the other part of that, too, is, does Minot really care about the conference? I'm sure they do. I'm just saying that as a...
You care about wins all the time, don't you?
You care about wins. You want to win your conference, but it's not the end of the world that they don't win the conference. They're going to be the number 1 seed.
I think Midland, huge help that we are ranked as high as we are.
Yes.
Because even if they have close games against us or, don't get blown out, it might actually help them in the rankings, hold their spot or even move them up.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Well, it's important because it's the final 2 home games of the season for D1, but also important because we have massive fundraisers going on right now for the road to nationals. Getting to nationals, friends, it takes a hell of a team, but it is also a cost.
Yep.
Associated with that trip up to St. Louis, and we don't know how many days it's going to be. It could be from Wednesday to Tuesday. It could be from Saturday to Tuesday.
Right. And as I mentioned last show, we're very fortunate to be a university-funded program, but it's not an unlimited budget by any means, and I think everybody understands that. I don't know of a single team in this country. I mentioned UNLV a second ago. I don't know of a single team in this country that's not fundraising for their national tournament berth. It's an expensive trip, and for us, it's 3 hours up the road. It's still an expensive trip. It is what it is. I mean, that's part of what we signed on for. So yeah, we've got some things happening. We've got the silent auction that's going to happen the 14th and 15th at our home game. We got a ton of cool stuff. I think you've got a pretty good list of that. But
yeah, we've got some amazing stuff. We've got some date night packages that include tickets to the Moxie Theater. We've got a date night package that includes tickets and popcorn to Alamo Draft House for a movie. Nice. We've got some Bambino's gift certificates, a stay at Walnut Street bed and breakfast.
Oh, we love our guy with Bambino's. Andy's awesome.
Yep. We've got a great Heaven's Door bourbon package.
Oh, that's my boy Pico.
That's an amazing package.
That's my old high school roommate. Works for Heaven's Door Whiskey, and he sent me some goodies.
And
I did tell him though, and I think I texted you guys this too. I said, you got to stop sending that stuff to my house for these silent auctions because the chances of that leaving my house are slim. Yeah. So, yeah, it's a pretty cool package though. It'll be there.
And blues tickets.
Blues tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah, that you can bid on that. I didn't know this, and I should have, but until you told me. Bob Dylan's the owner of Heaven's Door?
He's a co-founder of Heaven's Door Whiskey.
Knock, knocking.
Yeah, there you go. Should have known when you see the names of all their stuff and all that. Yeah. But no, like Ozzy said, we got blues tickets in the silent auction, but we also got a blues tickets Blues versus Avalanche raffle.
Yep.
So that's going on separately from the auction.
Absolutely. So there's many, many, many ways that you can get involved with supporting your Drury Panthers D1 Road to Nationals. We highly encourage you to come out February 14th and 15th to the Stan Melton Arena, Brightspeed Ice Park, formerly Jordan Valley Ice Park, so you know where it is. Because these boys have been playing their hearts out. And it's so amazing to see. I had my brother and his girlfriend come down from St. Louis, and he says, he goes, on TV, hockey doesn't really interest me.
You got to see it in person.
He said, in person, he goes, I want to come back down. Yeah.
Much better live for sure.
And these guys deserve all the attention they
do.
can get. They deserve every bit of it. I'll throw this out there now. I mean, and I don't know who's watching this, but if you're local Springfield media, any of the local outlets, newspapers, anything, come and see these guys. Yeah. Come and give them the love they deserve. They've put in the work. We've done such a good job as a team to get where we are. There's a little luck occasionally that goes into this. We get that, but most of it is just the hard work these guys that are sitting over here have put into this to get us to where we are right now, and they deserve every bit of attention they can get.
Well, there should be a big crowd on February 15th, the final home game.
Oh, no.
Because, sponsor night.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were going somewhere else there.
Where do you want me to go?
Coach Cook's birthday.
Well, of course, yeah, that's going to be a big night, yeah. Yeah,
we did that last week. That's why I was worried.
We got that covevered as well. Don't worry about that.
It is sponsor appreciation night, so all of our sponsors who we're so grateful for, including our friends here at Holdfast, as people that know me know this is a home away from home. It's just amazing people here. But all of our sponsors, we'd love to see all of you there. Bring your families, all that. And then if you're interested in becoming a sponsor, partner of our program, the more the merrier. We could use all the help. And we just love partnering with local businesses. And so come on out, introduce yourself, talk to Jeremy, talk to myself, talk to you, Kevin.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Come see us and we'll talk partnership.
Well, it is a fantastic product being put on the ice by the Drury University D1 hockey program. D3 is also going to be playing on the 14th and 15th. They take on the University of Kansas, the Jayhawks. But that'll be a 9:30 start on Friday, 2 in the afternoon start on Saturday. D1 plays at 7 o'clock on Friday and 6 o'clock on Saturday.
And I can confirm the D3 games will be broadcast, video only, but they will be on Web Sports Radio. So that's no issues there. Those games will be online for sure.
Fantastic. Well, guys,
awesome.
You heard me say it to Sadownyk and Aston, and I always say it to you. Thanks for letting me be a part of this.
Absolutely.
We love you.
We're so happy to have you guys a part of it.
Love you guys too, man. I really do. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, there it is. That wraps it up for this episode of Drury University Panthers D1 Hockey Coaches Show. Coach Jeremy Law, Coach Cliff Cook. We will see you at Stan Melton Arena on February 14th and 15th. Final 2 home games of the season for Division I hockey Drury Panthers. Please come out and support the boys. We'll see you there. Thank you from Holdfast Brewing.
Hey!